وللمزيد حول صناعة القهوة ينضم إلي في الاستوديو السيد أنسلم كودينيو، المدير العام لإنترناشونال كونفرنسز أند إكزيبيشنز التي تنظم هنا في دبي مهرجان القهوة والشاي السنوي. سيد أنسلم، أهلا وسهلا بك. في البداية، كيف غيرت عملية تسويق القهوة في النظرة إلى هذا القطاع؟
Coffee has turned out to be more of a communal, social drink, and cafes tend to be more of a family, business environment for people to get together and just chill out. Pretty much like I would suppose that bars in North America and Europe are. What we've seen is with the business of coffee, really, there is a cultural aspect to coffee that has helped growth. There is the business aspect of coffee that has helped a lot of entrepreneurs to get into the business, looking at it from a purely business perspective. Coffee has another very important segment that has helped its growth is education in coffee. Coffee is a science by itself. I mean, if you look at the production of coffee right down to the coffee in the cup, there is a whole research and analysis that goes into coffee in a cup. So, all these elements to put together with excellent marketing through associations that are involved with coffee has brought the consumer closer to coffee as a product. And I think that's where the growth is. You will see that growth continuing to escalate in the region over the next coming years.
ماذا عن هذا النمو على مستوى العالم بشكل عام؟ هل يمكن الحديث عن بعض التباطؤ في وتيرة النمو، لأنه كل ما تفضلت به يعني أصبح في مراحل متقدمة وناضجة؟
Yes, I believe, yes, there may be a slowdown in the international markets if you look at, again, the coffee in North America and Europe, but I believe in the Arab world, in the GCC, we are at the infancy of growth of coffee. So I believe the deceleration will happen in the West, but the acceleration will continue to grow here. And I believe we are still at a threshold. We will grow tremendously. Remember that we fall at the doorway of high coffee consumers and coffee growers. So in that sense of the word, I think the growth of coffee and Dubai or the UAE's participation in the growth of coffee is going to be tremendous. You're going to see a growth in trade. You're going to see a definite growth in consumers. In the cups of coffee being consumed. I may add that between 2001 and 2007, the consumption of coffee went from 1.4 billion cups a year to 3.4 billion cups a year.
Wow, that's a percentage.
That is over 300% nearly. Now, since 2016 to 2018, it has gone to 3.8 billion cups of coffee a year.
قبل أن ندخل في تفاصيل السوق الإماراتية، عن أي مستويات نمو نتحدث على مستوى العالم؟
Globally, you may see, like I said, you see a deceleration of coffee in consumption, I mean in trade. That's only because there's a shift in the market. Most of the high consumers of coffee are not coffee growers themselves. The whole of North Africa, the whole of Europe are not coffee growers themselves. Coffee growers in South America don't consume so much of coffee. Coffee growers in Africa don't consume so much of coffee. So, like I said, the statistics may change, the growth won't. Yes, you may find the statistics change in North Africa, in North America, but the growth won't, because part of the shift is all moving into the Arab world. So whilst you see the figures going down in certain parts of the country and world, you'll find the figures going up in certain parts of the world. So overall, the consumption of coffee won't go back. It's still pretty much the same.
إذا تحدثنا عن سوق الإمارات هنا، حين نتحدث عن القهوة، هل نحن نتحدث عن المقاهي بشكل أساسي؟
Yeah, there are certain elements to coffee that again we apart from taking it to the consumer, there's a whole element of coffee production and coffee preparation that we are talking about. We're not looking at this cafes and standalone cafes and franchises and so on and so forth. We're looking at coffee as a product, as a trade product. We're looking at for example, Dubai DMCC. For the last 10 years, we've been advocating Dubai get into the trade of coffee, like Dubai is with the trade of tea. And now recently the DMCC have set up a commodities trading for tea, for coffee specifically. So you're going to see a lot of coffee being traded in this market. Like I said, so coffee has various aspects. Coffee in trade is one thing, coffee in business is the other, coffee in education is the other. So coffee in trade is taking off, and I believe there's tremendous growth there for coffee in trade, coming over the next 5 years. I think this figures will almost triple in the next 5 years. Note that we're also at the very embryonic stage of homegrown coffee roasters, which means you're going to find people bringing green tea. We don't grow coffee in this region, obviously, because of the climatic conditions, but you're going to see coffee roasters erupting all over the place. There are already a lot of coffee roasters setting up, so a lot of people are going to bring in coffee, and you're going to find fresher coffee and far more coffee shops than you're going to see today.
ربما هذا يأتي بي يعني إلى الحديث عن مختبر القهوة الذي تديرونه أنتم كشركة. ما الذي يحصل في هذا المختبر هنا في دبي؟
Part of what we do with the Coffee Lab is training. Coffee education is one of the elements that we work with in coffee training. The other is certification of green coffee and qualities of green coffee and all of that. You see, coffee education is important to the growth of coffee as a product in consumer product rather. Our motto for coffee is really, when we promote coffee, is to demand better. What we lack is a proper certification for specialty coffee and organic coffee, and I think that's something that's it's a natural progression to where we are right now, and that's what the Coffee Lab is aiming to do. Where tomorrow, if you have a retailer or a wholesaler selling organic coffee or selling specialty coffee, it has to have a certification to it. I mean, you can't just use the word loosely. And that's the natural progression to coffee as a product and trade.
حين ذكرت المقاهي هنا في الإمارات أتينا على ذكر أن بعضها هو عبارة عن فرانشايزز لأسماء عالمية والبعض الآخر هو ماركات محلية. كيف ترى المقارنة بين النوعين على مستوى النمو في المرحلة المقبلة؟
Yeah, I believe up to recently, franchises was ruling the coffee industry here, and I believe that we have a certain amount of franchise fatigue, so to say. Admittedly, the franchises have now realized that homegrown roasters and homegrown coffee shops are erupting all over the place. So companies like Starbucks have started a Starbucks Reserve, which is now looking at specialty coffee. So they have started something to compete with the homegrown industry. But I see the way we are going is, there are two reasons for this. I think people are now beginning to demand better coffee. They're beginning to recognize better coffee and recognize specialty coffee. So people are weaning away from the franchise model of coffee and going more into fresher roasted coffee, something that's not on the shelf for too long. And that's also allowed a lot of the local population, whether it's in the UAE and the GCC, the greater GCC, are now getting into the business of coffee. Yeah. Admittedly, they're getting into the retail end of the business of coffee. But for every coffee shop that starts off somewhere, then there's one less coffee franchise that's opening up there. So you will see a growth in the homegrown brands and a deceleration in the franchise model.
السيد أنسلم غودينيو المدير العام لإنترناشونال كونفرنسز أند إكزيبيشنز، شكرا جزيلا لك.
Thank you very much.